Okay.
This is easy.
So guys, I decided to record this because Kelly scheduled a session and put together her map. And so what we're doing is really looking at with the key elements right here, Kelly, like fatigue, digestive issues, brain fog, stress, poor sleep, thinning hair. You and I just talked about this being a hormone connection, this being even a weight connection, this being a sugar connection, really blood sugar. And I know that's a huge thing everyone talks about, but I don't feel like we really know it until we're in the thick of our hero journey of like getting better and trying to figure out what that F is going on. And that was one of the pieces that I talked about in Rachel's Wellness. So like, I love that you not only looked at what could be the core signature offer, like what's the goal? What do I want this woman or this person either self-study, or as a signature offer. We'll talk about how we're talking about what is the goal. We can talk about like, what's the goal of what you envision for your business, because everyone has a different model. And I think we're also talking about stress connection, cortisol. Would you say for your person, does she know what adrenal issues are? What?
No.
Okay. And it doesn't mean that you can't explain. I want to just show you what we are coming out with. And so we can look at which one is actually the best. Because trust me, the adrenal can easily be remessaged. That was my program, that when somebody was, I would say, when they were doing everything right, and I checked off like, it's, we're addressing gut, we're addressing like pathogens, we're addressing blood sugar. And even if that was them doing, testing with their doctor to see like, was chromium on board, what are their sugars, or that they were getting a sugar kit from like CVS or Walgreens and testing them. This is when I was like, okay, here's the adrenal part. And that was something I suffered with forever. So I want to just show you and see which one you think for your person is going to work best. This is something that we are putting out in, I would say, 3 days. This is actually more of talking about the stress part. So the reason that I'm asking this is I feel any program does work when the intention and the goal is aligned. I feel like the part is thinking for your ICA and for what you want to teach, which one really like makes it a no-brainer for how you're positioning yourself. So that the adrenal one, and we're gonna like go back to back with content, because I always say to coaches, they'll message in like, do you think this program will work? And I always say in response, like, please watch the sneak peek with the guide and really ask yourself, for what I want to teach, what most aligns, so that I have to do the less work, if I'm updating it. So you're taking them step by step in both programs. But this is really talking about like the stress, the relaxation, the breathing, helping them to understand what stress is versus the adrenal part. Both can be, both of course can work. The thing about this one is you'll see it's a little different of language versus the adrenal. Having them kind of go through like check boxes. These also come with PowerPoints and scripts. And I will say this though, getting a PowerPoint created once you have content with a virtual assistant seriously is a simple task, as long as they are a good virtual assistant. And that means that you can say to them, I don't care if this is like 50 slides. I want you to give me a teaching PowerPoint that I can go off of this. So, like I said, both would work, both would be fine. It's just the question of which one you think solves that problem. This one comes, and I'll just show you. This is 82 slides because I said to my team members, the majority of coaches right now, even if they are brick and mortar, even if they are seeing people offline and face to face, we've come into a time where we are like either e-learning or we're creating little mini, like, you know, little mini videos pre-recorded for our clients so that they really walk through that process in their busy life, lessening the stress of the coach. Like, how do I teach this? What do I say? So that's one aspect of this program. To look at the other one of just apples to apples, which I'm a huge person on looking at that, like which one really is the verbiage that you feel needs to be for your ideal client. Hold on, here we are. And also which package, and I mean, I didn't show you the whole business package, but which one really fulfills your needs so that you're looking at this as like, for the resources, like what's going to give me the most, for how I want to position this. Is this self-paced? Is this not? Which one would be easier for me to do that with? That's always the way, because there are a lot of different kind of stuff in each program. I would say, again, saying this is that here's step one. Changing that cover and talking about like how stress impacts adrenal is different than the stress program, because this is, the way that I wrote this is you're talking about this ongoing issue. Stress, everyone has stress. For not everyone do they go into a state of adrenal fatigue, where that's really teaching somebody that their boundaries, their ability to learn how to say no, they're putting themselves first. This is a little different of verbiage. And so if you feel that you want to position yourself more helping women to see this connection to adrenal, then that was kind of how I felt like, wow, there are so many women like me who are running around with food allergies after food allergies, environmental sensitivities, you know, issues that are not going away. And I've done everything. So I would say in lieu of that, kind of thinking, going back to our original plan. Oh no, that's my sales copy. Going back to our original plan, which one speaks to you? Which one speaks to you in the way that you envision?
So to be honest, hormones are what speak to me. I'm a breast cancer survivor. My cancer was fed by too much estrogen. And so I was, you know, like I said, I watched the training. So I was working on a path to get into hormones. And I went and I looked at a couple of different options. And the other option, I liked this because there was a clear path in the materials. At the last part of A New You talks about adrenals.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of these things are so closely connected, and I wouldn't call it, you know, an adrenal reset.
No, totally understand.
But it accomplishes, all of these things kind of accomplish the same thing. It brings all of that out of balance in balance, regardless of, you know, which way you call it. So the other path that I had that I really liked was the grain-free paleo, leading into restore your gut health, and then restore your gut health into a hormone
So there can be two things.
program.
We'll look at this.
And hormones I can really speak to. Like I can
like this, and I'm not saying you have to buy this. Like when I look at what you just said, you're like, it's a big hormone topic. One could be the estrogens and dominance, or one could be what Dr. Vadi, what she and I talked about. I'm going to show you the 21-day hormone detox, because
I've seen the 21-day hormone detox. I'm not big on, I understand the value of detox.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite thing. And I do have estrogen dominance.
Okay. So
I just wasn't sure how to fit all of that together.
I would look at it and break it down where you actually, I always just put your freebies here, put your workshops here, map this out, of course. But I would say this is that I love the new you, because I do think that helps the woman who kind of knows, she hears these words like estrogen dominant, she's heard this word adrenal, she's heard this word cortisol, but she doesn't understand at the level that you do. And her concern is the weight, and it is the gut, and it is a lot. And that's why New You I created, because I thought about the woman who typically came to me, the woman who was really sick, like she knew all of these words, but this was for this woman who was like, she was missing constantly these connections. And so she stayed sick, frustrated with weight. I mean, I think one, you could either use the workshop. I do love how to lose. I do love this, how to lose weight and still eat like a foodie. There's also mastering the mindset. And I would just actually add in more about like hormones, maybe not even mastering the mindset, but be like, you know, the mindset between like hormone weight loss, something. How do you eat for hormone health? 12-month membership. So is the model coming in and having this as a do-it-yourself or a group?
The a new you.
Yeah.
Yes. So it would be like the freebie would lead to that. I was trying to map it in steps, how you talked about. So kind of like the gateway program.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there go to a signature. And I have the hormone membership, the 12 months.
Okay.
So I could.
Option one is, if you're not doing the hormone membership as a membership, you can use those as your once a month workshop and freebie. So what they can do is either sign up for the freebie and then they get a masterclass already pre-recorded, or parts of that masterclass, like giving an overview, like, hey, sign up here, come into this group. Or if you really want everything very self-paced, you can use those workshops as mini master classes, teaching them like the why, and picking out the top like 3 from the hormone membership. That would be the lead. So if you could actually have like this workshop, how to lose weight, guide to mastering the mindset, which is part of the new you. And then you could also have another 2 workshops all leading. And one of those could be the adrenal and hormone health, the one on how it affects weight loss, all leading to this gateway. And then you can do this arrow saying like, all my workshops, all my freebies are leading to this process system that you're talking about. If it's new weight loss, that can come in. I'm just going to show you. Sorry. So this is really the weight loss pain, because this I feel is a key. Weight loss and like weight loss hormone gut. We're just going to call this, that's that signature system. So if you did want to lead it to the adrenal or gut, or restore your gut, then that can be your one system. The other one is hormone weight. And it's not that the second step has to be different, is that you could look at this one as for a different person, for this person who has been on great, like they've done clean eating and they're not getting better, because the new weight loss is clean eating. I mean, I think it's clean eating, no deprivation. The only cheese in there so that mucus isn't produced is a feta cheese and goat cheese. But this one could be the paleo program. So you're really talking about that grain-free experience. And you could still, of course, do that as the jump start, either leading to the adrenal or restore your gut.
Yeah, I liked that one leading to the restore your gut.
And you could have, in essence, then you're really hitting two core pillars. So it's really pillar one is gut, pillar two is weight loss, pillar three is hormones, pillar four, pillar three, hormones, or if this one's adrenal by itself, that later one can be hormones, which you were even saying that 6 months, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, what I first see a year or two down the road is really going strong on the hormones and adding in the hormone restore. And eventually, I'm sure I'll get into the detox.
Yeah, but I don't think it's something like, if that word doesn't work for you, the reason that I like the 21-day, just because of the information that you're talking about, like the PowerPoints and some of your backstory of, I mean, God, if this, thank God, this one hormones gynecologist, like I'm 45. She told me after I had my second child, she's like, I have never seen estrogen dominance this bad. She's like, it's just shocking. And she was like, and I told her about having a pituitary issue. They thought I had a pituitary tumor, all this different stuff, not getting my period. And she's like, you are beyond deficient. Not many people know that. It doesn't mean that you're working with women who have cancer. The 21-day hormone detox, you could rename it. It just has a lot of that information. But it's not necessary. You don't have to get into something. You know what I mean?
It's more just the fact of who I am comfortable speaking to is a busy mom. And, and it's like you said in the very first training video, trying to put her in through a detox is asking too much of her. And that's why I liked the grain-free idea, because just saying, hey, we're going to give up grains and help you feel better is a good first step. And then you can lead into.
So that I knew this one type of person, she who probably had like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 level issues. She needed that. Like I needed that. I needed to do ketogenic. I'm not keto, but I needed to do a lot of steps for the level of toxicity, adrenal issues, HCl issues, everything that we know that comes, fungal parasitic, I mean, just everything. I think that those are two great baselines. And truthfully, if you wanted, you just sit there and say, for the paleo one, you can have all roads lead to Rome. And they could actually fill out a questionnaire right there to say, what are you struggling with? You can also have, of course, everything automated. And even if you had everything automated, I always suggest on download pages, taking the PowerPoints that you have, like giving somebody 10 minutes, just like you experienced when you had that training. A lot of people will say, well, my business coach told me not to give away so much for free. And I think you're building trust. Like, this woman, she's jaded, she's busy, or she's, has this doubt about hiring you. Like, close it down for her. If she's not the right person for you, then she's not the right person.
Right.
But if she is your right person, take her down that path of like nourishing her. So I would say maybe the only thing missing is looking at one of the protocols and labs and quizzes that are coming out, because that can also be one in the process once they opt into any freebie. That can be a standard form. So when you do build this out, you have, per se, instead of multiple different funnels, if you had multiple different funnels, you still have a tag that they land on this quiz. And that, for this woman who has said, oh yeah, I've tried everything, clean eating, I gave up cheat, like all this, she's probably that one that needs to be on paleo, versus the woman that's like, I feel so insane. I'm stressed all the time. I'm going to drive through because I just can't handle it. We order Chinese food. We get pizza delivered. Like, that woman, her life could change and she wouldn't feel deprived, overwhelmed. She would feel it's doable, and she still would have drastic changes with 21 New You. And it's, and there are recipes that, like, the whole family, her still cooking for her family, but making her grain-free doesn't feel overwhelming, because she's like, oh, girl, I've tried everything. Thank God you came along, and I see this like system.
Yeah.
So let me just even show you quickly the lab so you can see what I mean. And if you're not, missing any, or if you don't need to buy something additional like that, a question is that you go through the adrenal program, and you make some of the content in the guide your quizzes, your open-ended questions. But like this one, if I were to say stress or the chronic fatigue one, because the chronic fatigue one, I might not call that chronic fatigue, but this probably is exactly what you're asking, or the gut. And when I showed a coach this the other day, who her specialty is adrenal, but she was like, I'm having a tough time like connecting this. Once she looked at this, she was like, oh my God.
This is what I feel like people are this is what's keeping them up at night.
Yes.
I don't feel good. I'm tired. I can't make it through my day. I can't play with my kids. Like,
yes. And so the reason that, in thinking about like what you're going to buy, think of it on like every level. Like, what are these questions that I keep missing? What would build the most trust? So like, they could even opt into the quiz. And again, you could have this from any freebie. The freebies are just solving the pain points, and for the list building, but you can talk to them about, I have, this is the lab reference sheet that I really talk about. We can look at some of these different areas, speak to your doctor, so that you become the advocate for them. Instead of, as you and I know, going and Googling leads you into about 20 different tests or things that maybe your specialist doesn't ask for. So being able to put that power back in to your client and also help them navigate if you did need to bring in additional team members, meaning the person who do the testing, you guys are then working in collaboration, of course, not diagnosing, but saying like, hey, I know you've been working with this person, or hey, I want to start this partnership because I need somebody to be able to run these tests and know that we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm. So these protocols are new.
Yeah, these are coming out in 3 days.
Okay.
Yep. And I would say, I lived in a red state. I built my whole business in a red state. And on my site is even an interview that I did with Jonathan Posey talking about like, what can we offer with our clients? What can't we? And so protocols don't mean that we're making diagnosis. We're like, hey, just answer these questions. This is my toolkit that I give my clients because, wow, navigating this road, you know, to wellness, or navigating, like, it's one thing when we step-by-step program, but it's like another thing when we have a toolkit that like helps us take them down the nurturing path. Like, hey, this is something I give to my clients, you know, and this is like how we create this roadmap so that if we are working in partnership, and or if you're up against a constant roadblock with your specialist, like this can be similar to what a doula gives when you're, you know, pregnant.
Fortunately, I'm in a green state.
So, you know, the cool thing is that I look at it like this: green, yellow, red is we all need to know how to not put ourselves in a claim position.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in co-collaboration with so many different doctors and specialists, and that created a great referral network. But I also learned that like providing information for our clients is what we do. And so I think in general, it's just a good thing to know, like, no matter what state we're in, it is providing information that is educational and helping to put that information into your client's hands instead of them going like this: I'm so overwhelmed. I just saw 50 different things on PubMed and I think I'm dying. I think, oh my God, you know, and that's what usually happens for either our potential clients or what happened for us.
All right. So my takeaway is I'm on to something.
Yeah.
But I should check back in about 3 days and see if there's something new that might fit better.
Decide. I do love the 2 parts. Either decide if the adrenal, do you have the adrenal?
No.
So decide, like, is it the restore your gut or the adrenal that you're like, okay, part 1 of the system is always like, how are they coming in free? Then part 2 is, what are these workshops that I can, you know, pitch to a person locally that knows me, I've already built trust with them, or how can I really position these workshops where maybe I do a live, even on my personal page, letting people know like, this is why I do what I do. Maybe you don't know my story, really building up that trust. Those same PowerPoints can also be videos on YouTube, where, just as you said when we first got on, where'd you find me? You were Googling. And this is something that I realized before I had clarity or the money to do Facebook ads. I was like, where does my ideal client go to search intentionally for the problem? I knew YouTube. I knew it had a great relationship. And I knew for me as a solo entrepreneur, I better get down with the platforms where people searched for information. And I also looked at Pinterest because I just knew that women who are busy, even if they don't like to cook, they love recipes and we're very visual. It's not that I didn't use Facebook. I think Instagram was just coming around at that time. It's not that I didn't use a lot of platforms, but I made sure that I got these workshops so that I could say to somebody, hey, do you want me to come in and teach about this? I know your clients are probably experiencing 1, 2, 3. This is why I have this workshop on X. And so when you're thinking about this, really step back as you've done and say, what is the story I'm telling? Where am I leading? We decide on those gateway. What would be that like next step for them? And so if you feel that the gut makes sense for both, if you feel that the adrenal really solidifies that one path and you're more in alignment with the adrenal, or you're looking really at building out those two paths. So, you know, the adrenal can be self-paced or not so, but it can be a setup course as the gut with included sessions with you, could be a mastermind, could be anything, but you have these two clear processes for the customer journey.
Yeah.
And the only reason I wanted to show you those protocols
Sorry,
is,
I have like notes over here, so I'm looking at what you're saying and how it fits in. And
say that too much as women. The only reason I wanted to show you those labs and protocols is I've watched for years quizzes just get unbelievable engagement. Those quizzes also have a lot of those open-end questions that are extremely advantageous, like before somebody gets on a discovery session, or even questions that like we know, but we get paralyzed in actually writing down what that content is. And then our ideal client doesn't understand how all this is connected. So I think in conclusion, as the takeaway is the step one process looks great. Like, what are those freebies? I think utilizing everything in the, of course, in the folders. The gateway seems really clear. Paleo grain-free is for this, you know, this specific lady. So it's either the weight or the paleo grain-free, which is like more of a gut approach. The other one is like the weight feeding in with the metabolism and the adrenal issues in the gut. And either step 3 is that they lead to the same third step, or that your third step is adrenal for the one for the weight, and for the paleo, that's the step, that's the third step.
yeah. Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Perfect. It does. It does. It totally makes sense. I just have to decide which path I'm going to start with.
Yeah.
And commit to one.
Just like you're saying with the weight, is if you feel like that path's more clear to you and you really can like help to make this connection. I mean, I talked about adrenal. That was what I talked about, because I talked about this ongoing issue with stomach acid and deficiencies and yeast infections and candida. And I mean, that was for me a huge thing. And I felt excited. If gut is easier for you to talk about, I think that's the big decision.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is.
You know?
I think where I got stuck there, where did I get, if you could, let me, can you flip back to my, or I can flip back to it.
It's all good. Let me just find it.
Did I put that on here? You know what? I don't think I put it on here.
The gut, you mean?
So I had the grain-free challenge.
Mm-hmm. You mean the gut challenge?
I had the grain-free, the grain-free paleo program.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to figure out, okay, so I could see a path to get there. And then how do I get them from there? That's why I said gut health.
Right.
To restore your gut, because that was easy.
I would say this is you have the 12-month hormone. So you're sitting on so many amazing, epic, like extra content that you could extend Restore Your Gut. Like Restore Your Gut, you could easily, if you wanted, like make it this whole step where it's like you're starting in the grain free, either you're starting in the weight loss grain free, and they both graduate to Restore Your Gut, making them 3-month experiences. Or if you feel that it needs to be broken down because you're selling the different parts, either way, I feel like that one may be just the better for for what we've talked about, and especially if there's more of a comfort level, because in the 12-month hormone membership, you have the PowerPoint, you have the recipes, you have like the one on adrenal, you have the one on like why aren't you losing weight, you have the sugar, I mean you're fully loaded. And so
my thought with that was I was going to use it and take like for each of the 12 months, I was going to take and kind of do a week for each so that I could kind of rotate through them and use it to drive my Facebook content. And then I could use the PowerPoints to get people from my business page into a group and ask them for their email address, because then they go on my list and I can tell them about this other stuff.
Hands down. I think both ways can work. And what I mean by that is if you're looking at that as list building, you can look at one a week. I just did that with my client for her launch. I said, you got to build visibility before you're bringing them to the paid offer. And she even has visibility, but we've never deviated from the same thing. We did like once a week training, getting people excited. So when you're building trust in that way, it's going to enhance those conversions because you're already pre-teaching them, pre-qualifying.
So I have zero visibility. I have very little. That's kind of where I'm working, and that's that I'm at the beginning of that piece. And so I thought it's easy. It's quick and it's easy if I use this 12-month membership.
And collect emails in the membership questions, leading them into a Facebook group.
Yeah. And then, but I'm also dabbling in some ads. So I feel like those, doing a bundle as a freebie where you get the guide, you get a workshop, which would lead into the gateway. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, perfect.
You really thought it through. And I would say like, keep just refining that. I love taking that visual, meaning you can take stick-it notes, post-it notes, bigger ones. So like on a window, start actually building it out. So you see like if this person comes into this sticky note workshop, like where am I leading? That's the one thing about it's nice when you're either leading people to a group or you can say, sign up for this Zoom. Here's we're going to go on this date. And then boom, people sign up, they register, and you have their emails, and say like, do I have permission to send you a replay? I mean, Zoom, I think, is even doing product sales right there. Keep it simple, even though and I say that because the building and the moving pieces is not simple. And so to be able to keep it simple and go one workshop a week, what is the content I'm talking about? Theme it so that you're either driving people to get on like a discovery call and leading them to that self-paced option or partner pairing that with, 2 sessions. So like that is easy, or that you're bringing them to that conversation, which is really what a funnel is all about, and using those pre-marketing emails, maybe not like 6 of them, maybe you're like, you know what, I'm going to do 4 and I'm going to talk about these different components and, really personalize 2 different series, that go to these 2 different offers. Just visibility is really important. I think that too often we're so overwhelmed on like, what are the steps? But sometimes we actually have to do it to see what those steps are. And then actually like fully automate everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, this has definitely been helpful because I know what the first step is now, and I know the path and what I'm going to plug into each one. And eventually I will take the 12-month membership and either make it into something or.
Look, I would say this. I've said over and over, if you look at apples to apples on the cost, that allows you to theme either once a week doing a workshop and really build visibility, or once a month as a workshop. Those could even be paid if you wanted, like really low cost offer, like, hey, for $27, come to this.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking in that way, then you're sitting on a boatload of hormone recipes that you can, use or even sell that whole. You're getting hormone recipes, you're getting this. That's a low cost offer.
Yeah.
So I would say, really just think, okay, for my model, which is, I'll just, in conclusion to this, is that some people have a model where everything is a low cost offer leading to a higher ticket. Some people have a self-paced model, or they will have a program that can be self-paced, or they do it with you, but it's all pre-recorded. It's all step by step. So just, think about what is going to be the best for you in your time and your personality, and also ensure the biggest wins for your ideal client.
Yeah. Thank you. This was very helpful.
Awesome. Well, I will send you the recording after this, and I love the Google spreadsheet. And I would just, the last part of that is always imagine your ideal client. I like to come up with 3 names for different kinds of avatars, but like imagine her in her life, and what are those wake up problems? Like, where does she get overwhelmed in her day? What are her objections? Because her objections are actually not based on us, even though everyone thinks, oh, they're saying no. Her objections are based on her existing life experiences, whether she feels supported, whether she doesn't, whether she feels so overwhelmed, or whether she got a diagnosis, or maybe she is like you. She had a past health issue, and that just like overwhelming exhaustion, she is looking for a guide. So just sit there and play out, what would these look like to her? And then I think it becomes less overwhelming when we're building, because then we're building in such alignment that the marketing doesn't cause us to go into paralysis as much, because we're really coming from like this heart, knowing that she may not have the same exact experience as us, but that probably her problems and her wants and her desires, are pretty similar, because human beings are human beings, and sadness is sadness, and anger is anger. But where they stem from is really what we need to do our best, meaning to think, is this mommy overwhelmed? What age are her kids? What's her life like? What's happening with her parents? Like, is she overwhelmed about like her parents? Is she a CEO, or is she a 9-to-5er, or is she a stay-at-home mom? Those are all very different things in life that affect her decision-making.
Yep. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So helpful.
It was good to see you. I'm definitely going to send this, and think about what's going to really give you what you need, so that you can show up and just, shine in the way you need to.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right, lady. I will see you soon.
Yes. Bye.